Hello everyone and welcome to Fun with Fitzy. Today's video is on chapter 10.1. We're starting chapter 10 and this is all around cash and cash controls. 10.1 is on cash payment systems. What is cash? Everyone in the class knows what cash is. I know that already. But when we talk about cash and bank, you've already seen in this course that we talk about checks and things like that. So in the narrow sense, cash means cash, dollar bills and coins. However, in a broader sense, cash also includes checks, money that you have in your bank account, and other items such as credit card vouchers or money orders. These are anything that can be deposited in a bank account. So let's talk about the different payment systems. We are going to include both cash receipts and cash payments in this chapter as payment systems. Okay, so we know cash receipts is when we receive money from customers, and cash payments are when we pay our vendors. The main payment systems are as follows. Cash, we all know that. Checks, here's an example of a company check, and at the left-hand side over here, you can see that there is information here where you can write the details on the check. We have credit cards, and we have debit cards. And then of course we have bank transfers. So again, cash, check, credit card, debit card, and direct transfers. Cash usually consists of dollar bills and coins. Dollar bills, we refer to them as notes, believe it or not. And some of you will see this if we do the counterfeit detection. Two factors that limit the value of individual cash transactions are portability. This is the first one. Cash is not very portable. When you have to spend large sums of money, as businesses do, if you think of the big businesses on a day-to-day transaction, it doesn't make sense to carry cash around. And security. It is very awkward carrying large sums of money. As a matter of fact, I hardly carry money around at all anymore because I'm always worried about losing it or worse. So when businesses make large cash transactions, they often hire a security company to transport the cash, and you guys always see the Brinks trucks out there, and they're very secure. Currently, the most common form of non-cash transactions in Canada. When using checks, there is a delay, unfortunately, in the money exchange. Basically, what happens is when you deposit a check into your bank account, sometimes you have to wait until that bank contacts the other bank and finds out if there's enough funds in that person who wrote the check's bank account to clear the check. Unlike cash, checks are not anonymous. So cash, no one knows where the cash came from. However, checks are not anonymous because it has the name of the person whose bank account it came out of, the name of the person who wrote the check, the person who received the check. Checks carry some risk. However, when you're receiving a check from a customer, sometimes you've heard of a check that bounces. This means that it's an NSF check, which means that there may not be enough funds. So when your bank that you deposit the check into goes to the other bank where the person who wrote the check, where his bank account is, if there's not enough money in that person's bank account, they call that a bounce check, and then there's fees associated with that. Plus, you didn't get the money you were expecting. So lots of people do not like to receive checks, unless they know who you are and how to find you. Credit cards. A person with a credit card has a pre-arranged spending limit with the issuer of the card. So if you have a credit card with Bank of Montreal will give you a limit. So for example, let's say you have a $5,000 limit. Well, once you spend that $5,000, you cannot spend any more. The credit card won't let you. Credit cards are typically issued by banks, department stores, and oil companies. So you've heard of Sears credit cards and Canadian Tire. Even Loblaws these days has President's Choice cards. So all sorts of these companies, they want to get in the business of credit cards because they can make lots of money. So in terms of credit cards, there are three groups of people that are involved. One is the holder of the card, so that would be you, the person who's buying the goods with the card. The vendor, so this is where you're buying the goods, for example, Lowe's here. And then the issuer of a card, so that would be Bank of Montreal or Scotiabank or whoever is the issuer. The credit card holder can make purchases from any business that accepts that card. The vendor, that's the person who you're buying the goods from, receives payment from the bank, usually within the same day. So kind of credit cards are like bank or cash transactions for the vendor. The cardholder repays the bank interest-free as long as they pay within the specified time period. Credit cards are considered fairly safe and they're convenient. The business costs of lost, stolen, and fraudulent cards are enormous, however. So lots of fraudulent cards out there and people don't end up paying, and then the credit card companies have huge losses. Okay, debit cards. Debit cards continue to grow in popularity. The reason for this is because the ability of point of sale, so these are called POS terminals, and you've all seen them before when you go into the store and you use a debit card or a credit card to pay and you shove the card into the little machine there that's attached to the curly wire. Those are called point of sale terminals. And more vendors have these, so debit cards are growing in popularity. The bank once you use your debit card, the bank reduces your bank account at the time the transaction is processed. So if you have $100 in the bank and you buy something for $50 on your debit card, your bank will right away reflect that you only have $50 left in your bank account. There's another form of cash payment, and that's called a direct transfer, and these are online. So I can set up some direct transfers through the internet, and this is where you transfer from one bank account to another. And you don't need checks or debit cards to do this. Often these transfers happen electronically at preset times. For example, my mortgage comes out of my bank account every 2 weeks, comes directly out of my bank account and goes to my bank's bank account. Okay, that's all for this video. By now you should be able to determine the different payment systems, explain the difference between cash, debit cards, checks, credit cards, etc., and explain the features of each.